Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you're all well. So today we are going to discuss the third problem in the TLE Eliminator CP sheet, 1000 rated problems. The problem name is Helmets in the Night Light. So let's get started. Let's start by reading the problem statement first. Park Chanek is the chief of a village named something. On one night filled with lights, Park Chanek had a sudden and important announcement that he needs to be notified to all the residents. First, Park Chanek shares the announcement directly to one or more residents with a cost of P for each person. After that, the residents can share the announcement to other residents using a magical helmet-shaped device. However, there is a cost for using the helmet for each eye. If the ith resident has got the announcement for at least once, either directly from Park Chanek or from another resident, he or she can share the announcement to at most A of I other residents at the cost of B of I for each share. If Park Chanek can control how the residents share the announcements to other residents, what is the minimum cost to notify all the N residents about the announcement? Now we'll be given an N, P. N is the number of residents and P is the cost for Park Chanek. Now in the second line we'll be given an array A, that is the maximum number of residents that one resident can share the announcement to, and we are given the associated cost to sharing the announcement. For each test case we need to output the minimum cost to notify all the N residents. So let's see what the problem states. Like we have a head of the village and there are some residents. So we have said that he has some announcement to make and he would like to tell it to all the people. Like all the people in the village should be knowing the announcement. So he can tell it to one person or any person. Like he can directly tell it to all the people. That is also one case, but in that the cost may be higher. So what he can do is he can tell it to this person can tell it to this person, then this person, like this can tell it to this and this. Now again this person can tell it to this and this. For this person Park Chanek can directly tell. So there can be any number of possible combinations and we need to find the minimum cost so that all the people get to know what the announcement is. So let's see the first test case and try to build our approach. We have 2, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2 and 1, 6, 1, 3 and 3, 6. So this is the number of people and this is the cost. N is 6 and the cost for Park Chanek is 3. So the simple thought that comes to our mind is that we can just sort the array based on the cost. Like Park Chanek would prefer telling the news, or the residents would prefer telling the news to a person who can spread it at a lower cost than that a person who will take a higher cost. Like suppose I have this person and I have this person. Now this person would tell it to the other person at a cost of 2. This will tell it at the cost of 6. So obviously I will prefer this one over this one. So first I will simply sort it based on the cost. Now what if the cost becomes equal? Then we would like that the person who can tell greater number of people will tell it to that person. Like for this, these two costs are equal. This and this cost are equal. So this person can tell it to 3 person and this can only tell it to 1 person. So we will prefer this one. So let's sort it out. So the cost would be 2. And here will be 2, then it will be 3 and 3 here, that is 3 and 1. Again it will be 4 and 2, then it will be 6 and 6, 3 and 1. So this is the cost for the people and this is the cost associated with it. Let's suppose that Park Chanek tells to this person. Now this person has, now let's make a variable cost, that is 2 initially, that is 3 initially, that the Park Chanek tells this person. Now this person can tell this and this. We'll assume that he tells to the next just greatest elements. Like those have a cost of just greatest. Now Park Chanek can control the flow of information, like he can control which resident share it to which resident. So this resident would share it to these both. So the cost would be 2 plus 2 for sharing it to these both. Now again this resident and these would share it to the other 3 people. And that is where all the people know. So our cost would be, so our total cost would be 12 plus 4, that is 16. That is the answer that's given here. So I hope you got the approach. Now one edge case that we can have is that the minimum cost to share the information becomes greater than the cost that Park Chanek has. Then it will be beneficial for Park Chanek to pass on the information individually. Rather than having the residents share it between them, Park Chanek would share the information himself. So that would be a better approach for him. So that is the only edge case in this. So let's write a little bit of code. So we'll have an input, that is N, P. We will input the array ARR and we will input the array BRR. So instead of like having separate arrays, we can make an array of pairs. So this can be the first of the pair, this can be the second of the pair. Like we will have this pair, we will have a pair of elements where this denotes the number of people and this denotes the cost to share. Now we will sort it based on the cost. We will use a custom comparator function for this. Now we will have a variable that is count of people, that is initially 1, and the cost would be p. Like Park Chanek would tell this person, the person with the lowest cost. So initially one person knows. We can handle the edge test case here. That is where p is greater than the minimum cost. So we will just print n into p. Like Park Chanek would himself tell to all the person. So suppose that the minimum cost was not 2, but it was 6, let's suppose. So the better cost would be an 18. Like 3 into 6, that is 18. So we will traverse over the array and we will increment the count by the remaining minus the count that the person will tell, count of people. What is this remaining? The remaining is initially n minus 1. Like suppose in this case, like this was 4. So we don't want to tell it to this person again. Like this person already knows. So we need to minimize the cost. So we will only tell to the person who doesn't know. And we will increment the cost accordingly. That is the remaining people minus the count into the cost associated, and we will decrement the remaining minus this again, and in the end we will just print out our total cost. So I hope you understood the code. Now let's move on to code the same. I have my boilerplate code here. We'll be given an n and a p. We'll take them as inputs. Then let's make a vector of pair. We will have the input. Now I will show the count of the people in the second, so that I can use a simple sorting function. And I will take the second first. So now we will just sort the array. So this sorting would sort the array basis on the first index, that is the cost. This is the cost to the people and this is the count, how many people that person can tell. So now we'll sort. So the sorting would be done on the count cost. Now if Park Chanek can tell the other residents in a cost less than to the minimum cost, less than or equal to the minimum cost, then we will have him announce it to all the people. So this is the edge case. So we will just print p into n and we will continue from here. So we will make a variable count people know, that is initially set to 1, and the cost that is initially set to p. Now we will iterate over the whole array. Now if the count of people plus the number of people this person can tell, that is in the second, becomes greater than or equal to n, then we can break here and we will increment here. So the cost would be incremented to n minus how many people can he tell. This would be n minus the people who already know into the cost of I, and we will break it from here. Otherwise we will just increment by the number of people that person can tell into the cost, and we will increment the count of people by ARR of I second, and in the end we will just print the cost. So I think you got the approach and the code. Now let's try to run it for the sample test cases. So should be 16 and 1 lakh and 265. So our code works for the sample test cases. Now let's try to submit it. And submit. It is running. We have wrong answer on the second test case. Let's see why we got a wrong answer. First numbers 4. So what is the test case? 17 and the cost is really high. Okay. So the case we forgot here is that, let's suppose this was 2, but these all costs were, let's suppose 8, 8, 8, 8 and 8. So we would not want that these person to continue and to tell the other people. So like this has a cost of 8. So this would give us a really large cost. So what we can do is we'll just replace it by the P. So we will have Park Chanek tell the other people. So like telling from here to here. So that won't give us an extra cost. So we are just taking into mind that if the cost becomes greater than the cost that is incurred by Park Chanek, we can just have Park Chanek tell to the other residents. So let's do the same in our code. So we will just modify this with a minimum of p comma the value itself. Let's now try to run it for the sample test cases. The answer is still correct. Let's try that one test case that we failed. Answer should be this. Yeah, it passed. So now let's try to submit it again. Paste and submit. It's in queue. It's running on test case 35 and it got accepted. That means we have the right solution and our approach is correct. I hope you understood the problem. Comment down what was your approach for solving the same problem. The solution link would be in the description section. Do check it out. Also, this is a playlist for all of the problems in the CP sheet. Do check out all the other problems as well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Thank you.